Hello, welcome to From God's Heart to Mine. Thanks for joining me as we aim to draw nearer to God every day. When we read the Bible, what we often find is that the Bible writers would state events as they happened in very matter of fact ways, where they'll simply write and say something very briefly, very quickly, and move on. And we might stop and say, but wait a minute, isn't that something huge? Isn't that something incredible? And that's the case in the verse we're looking at today. In Matthew 1 and verse 18, Matthew says, "Now the birth of Jesus Christ was as follows. After his mother Mary was betrothed to Joseph, before they came together, she was found with child of the Holy Spirit." And what Matthew is describing there is the virgin birth of Jesus. That Mary had been betrothed to Joseph, her future husband, but they were not yet married, nor had they consummated the marriage. And Mary was a virgin. And yet, before she came together with Joseph, she was found with child. And Matthew tells us that this was by the Holy Spirit, which we would also learn from the angel if we kept reading. And Matthew states that in that one verse so matter-of-factly. This is what happened. It's a good exercise for us when we read the Bible to pause at those matter-of-fact statements and say, wait a minute, what would this have actually looked like? What would people have actually thought? How would they have naturally reacted? We know what Joseph was thinking. Matthew tells us in the next verse that he was going to put her away secretly. He was a good man. He didn't want to make a public spectacle of her or shame her publicly. And so instead, he was assuming, as we naturally would, that she had been unfaithful and that she had slept with another man and now she was pregnant. And so Joseph is going to secretly put her away and no longer marry her. And so that's an insight into Joseph's mind, what he was thinking. I wonder what Mary's parents were thinking. I wonder what her friends were thinking, the friends she grew up with. And what happens when Mary defends herself and says that she is a virgin and she's never known a man intimately? How would people react to that kind of claim? Everything about Jesus' life was unique from the beginning. Think about what it would have been like to be Mary and Joseph and to find yourself in such a strange and unique circumstance. No one else has ever been in that position before, where they truly know they're a virgin and yet they're with child. Everything about Jesus' life was unique and amazing. People have always struggled with the Jesus dilemma. And there are a number of ways that this has been put before. Some have said that this is the dilemma between liar, lunatic, and Lord. Of when we look at the life of Jesus, then those are the choices we're left with. Because of the claims Jesus made about who he was and what he could do and what Jesus did. Either he was a flat-out liar about who he was, or a lunatic who was confused about who he was, or he really was who he claimed to be, and therefore Lord. Some have offered another, perhaps, solution to that dilemma and said that Jesus was just a legend. He never really existed. And yet Matthew here, someone who knew Jesus on earth, wrote and recorded the birth of Jesus as a historical event, including all of its unique circumstances. The truth about Jesus is that he couldn't just have been a good teacher or a great man like other great men in history we might think of. His birth tells us from the very beginning, this man is different. This isn't like anything else humanity has ever known. Mary and Joseph found themselves in unique circumstances. And now all of us look to Jesus with this choice of whether we believe in who he really was and claimed to be, or to reject the evidence. I hope that you'll consider today how amazing the life of Jesus was and look to him in complete faith. When you pray today, remember how special it is to know Jesus. There is no one else like him. Thanks for listening to From God's Heart to Mine. My name is Caleb Griffith. You can reach out to me on any platform, and I'll include you in my prayers today. Go ahead and follow the podcast if you aren't already, if you want to hear a new devotional thought every weekday. Open your heart today to pursue God's heart and try to show his heart to others.